How do we connect with our wounds, traumas, and resulting unhealthy behaviors then? Does awakening to our true nature pull the plug on codependence and unhealthy dependence? Meaning, does it begin to naturally drain these out of the body-mind? Does it pull the plug on abandonment wounds and issues? I personally have a lot of unmourned grief, abandonment wounds and trauma, which all can lead to codependence and unhealthy attachment for me. And these do feel like problems. I'm working on them in different ways, but I have to admit I have what is maybe a separate self-fantasy that waking up will start to flush a lot of wounds out of the body-mind and resolve my so-called problems. Thank you so much. Love. Hi, Tim, who is a hibiscus, I think. I can't quite see it, it's a bit blurry. Hibiscus. No, that's not hibiscus, that is... I'm not sure what it is. Yeah, I think to an extent, non-duality does heal the person with its teachings to an extent. When there's this energetic shift, a lot of stuff falls away. But there's also lots of other therapeutic processes out there which are really helpful for getting into those types of dynamics and steering the ship in a different direction. My favourite way of working with unresolved traumas, and it's something that, you know, it's part of being a body-mind, like having traumas in the body-mind. But my favourite way of working with it is working with the chakra system. So, for example, just beginning to understand and see what you're doing, but also know that this is just part of the setup of being a human, that we all have these dynamics going on, and a lot of our dynamics will, for the rest of our life, remain unconscious to us. We don't know that we're doing them. And the first thing to change is seeing that you're doing it. So that's really amazing, Tim, that you've seen that you have codependency. So acknowledging that, and it's not you, it's a habit of the body. It's something you were taught, and it was something that maybe your parents experienced as well. So acknowledging that, and then trying to relate it to where you feel it in the body. And the reason I think this is really important is because most of the time, most people are just in their mental interpretation of what's happening, and they don't know what else is going on. So when they feel angry, they're just connected to what they feel angry about in their head. So they're simply inside their mind, and they're connected to the story of what made them angry, rather than the actual sensation of being angry. And that can make things really intense. That can make you go and attack people verbally, or do stupid things, or be self-destructive. So, and ironically, Someone can be furious, like really angry about something, and they can't register that they're angry. This is really bizarre, but we've all done it. So you could be really angry about something, but you don't know it. So if someone asked you, you would deny it. You haven't got any conscious acknowledgement of it. And that's because you're in your story. So to you, you're focused on that which has made you angry. Even though you can't see you're angry, you're just fixated on the object that's hurt you. So no, I'm not angry, but look at the mess in this house, or whatever it is. So the next thing after you recognize a pattern is, where do you feel these things in your body? So where is it that you feel this codependency in your body, this lack of love or this abandonment? I would suggest more than likely it will be the heart chakra, but it could be connected to all the chakras, and it could be because you've got weak lower chakras, you don't feel safe, so fear comes up, so then that makes you dependent on love. So what does that feel like? So when you begin to feel abandoned by someone, rather than reacting and then suddenly like pointing the finger or shouting, like what does it feel like? So maybe at first feels like anger, and then behind that it feels like vulnerability or weakness or softness or fear. Could be a variety of things. So then just exploring what that feeling is. Then my next move, so I'm giving away all my tricks of my trades. None of you need one-to-one sessions now. I'm just giving it away. And you can do it yourself. So the next stage then is then connecting it to your life. So then you feel this feeling in your body and you become aware of it. And then when do you act that out in your life? Like when have you acted it out? Like with past girlfriends or boyfriends, with your parents, with friends, with animals maybe? Like when has that led you to behave in certain ways, and what type of behaviors does it lead to? So then maybe you acknowledge that it's happened in relationships, and you have all these stories around relationships and women always abandoning you or something, and that's now led to a lot of fear, and your parents didn't give you much attention as a child, etc. And so then you acknowledge these situations, and then you want to try to put it in the positive. So put the feeling in the positive. So then what you do is what does that feeling want? What does that abandonment want? So it might want love. So then you imagine someone in your life, or maybe a famous person, or someone coming in and giving you what it is that feeling wants, like love and security and safety. And you let that positivity of that image, and you really go into the detail of it, like fill your body with positivity. And it might take time, because at first the feeling is too intense. So it may take time of sitting through it, but then begin to bring in this image of positivity. Like, so maybe it's like an aunt when you were growing up, that she gave you intention, that she took you away from your parents, that she hugged you or she loved you. And just feeling that, like, what did she do when she took you away? Like, how did she speak to you? What did her hand feel like? What did it feel like to feel loved? Did she talk nicely about you? So using an image to help change it into the positive. And to change it into the positive, you have to really understand what it is you want. So if it's feeling abandoned, what you want is to feel loved and included and safe. So just really seeing that and really allowing that image to bring in positivity. And then when your body's feeling more positive and more stable, then you can begin to see that who you are is this moment, that all of this imagery, all of these stories aren't who you are, that your nature as this is alive and free and present. And what you've actually done is you've played out both sides of the story in your imagination. You've created the hell and you've created the resolution. And in becoming in that more positive energy, you see that actually what you've always wanted is this moment, that as the energy picks up and feels more positive, it's not so much the positive feelings that you're enjoying, it's this coming home, the realizing that here you are, this is it. There is this consciousness right here that's present and alive and free. And that's all you've ever wanted. So that's my way of, that's the way that I work with people one-to-one in sessions. I mean, I work differently dependent on the person I'm with, but that's generally what I'm trying to get people to do for themselves, and seeing that they created the problem and they're also the solution to the problem. And then also in all of that movement of the problem and then the solution, there is this isness that's here in it all, this empty looking that's so free. And then just another thing that I try to make clear in my sessions as well with people is that even though it feels like you're doing that process and it feels like I'm individually telling you you can do something and that you've got to do something to change your life, know that all of that is a description of what could happen. It's not actually a prescription, because ultimately there is no me or you that could act separately and that could choose to do something. The impulse is in Tim to do that, and the ability to do that is down to grace. It's down to this moment, whether or not that arises. Like, I can't force you to do it. It's something that will arise or won't arise. It might feel like it's like, oh, I listened to Lisa and she told me how to do this and to do that, and now I'm going to do it. So there's a voice that's saying that you're going to do it. But notice that voice isn't who you are. That voice is an appearance in who you are. And that functioning, all of that happening, the going into the negative and the positive, isn't who you are. Who you are is this moment that's playing in you, but you get so involved in like the negative. When you get into the positive, the seeking drops, and then it's easier to see that who you are is this moment. So that is my recommendation. Tim, thank you for your question, Tim. Head up to shut it down. Didn't work. Goodbye from Koala.